What are we on now? Part 5? Ugh, I can just feel the color draining from me right now.
Told ya, comic books was bad for ya!
Shut the fuck up. Welcome back to my look at the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Today, Freddy is a daddy in Part 5, The Dream Child. The Dream Master was a massive box office success, becoming the highest grossing in the franchise at the time, making almost $50 million. I tend to lean toward the theory that this only happened because people loved Dream Warriors so much and wanted to see the follow-up. Reviews were mixed about the film as a whole, but it was praised for its special effects. Of course, New Line hurried into making another entry less than a year after their biggest hit. They felt like they had to tackle bigger themes with their audience, so they went with a story that did just that.
The story for Nightmare 5 was controversial with some people. I really think that I came up with the story because I was a new mother, and I was consumed by my child, who could very possibly have been the devil.
These were the elements all coming together, with Alice dreaming her baby's dreams, seeing Freddy leak into them, and then going into Freddy's dreams in the unconscious to find out what made him a monster.
For Nightmare 3, I had pitched them Freddy as a baby. So then I got a call for Nightmare 5, and when they came to me, they said, remember when you wanted Freddy to have a baby? Well, we like that idea now. What if Alice was the mom?
Uncomfortable discussions on a touchy subject. Just what I want out of a Freddy movie. British director Stephen Hopkins was brought in to direct thanks to his creativity in drawing and ability to help give the film a unique visual design. With the craziest premise to date for the series and an incredibly rushed production, how would Freddy's venture into fatherhood play out? Let's find out. The movie begins with an oddly lit and shot love scene that turns out to be Alice and Dan. Alice hops in the shower afterwards, but a clogged drain and water bursts cause it to fill up, forcing her into a dirty area that turns out to be the insane asylum that housed the 100 maniacs. Alice is now dressed up as Amanda Kruger and trapped inside after she goes unnoticed by the guards. Just as the maniacs descend upon her, she wakes up. I will say that the asylum setting is done well with the look, and all those crazy people really give you the creeps. That morning is Alice's high school graduation, where we get to meet the new friends she made after her previous ones were slaughtered. There's the sassy Yvonne, pretty girl Greta with her overbearing mother, and comic nerd Mark, who clearly has a thing for Greta. Dan's still around and gifts Alice with tickets to Paris, even though his parents would rather him focus on his football career. Alice's dad, now sober and much nicer, surprises her with an appearance, afraid he'd embarrass her. Unfortunately, she has to head to work immediately after the ceremony, but a stroll through the park gets ominous after she notices the jump rope girl singing and manages to stumble upon a gigantic gothic castle that is actually the insane asylum. She follows a nun inside, but is suddenly wheeled into an operating room where just as suddenly she becomes an observer to Amanda Kruger giving birth to Freddy. The freakish little creature is able to escape the room and make it to the church where he was previously killed. Able to merge with the body of his former self, baby Freddy grows back into an adult.
It's a boy!
Oh goody, he comes out swinging with the jokes. The filmmakers actually wanted to take Freddy back to his scary roots in this one. This is our indication on how that turned out. Amanda Kruger shows up vowing to get rid of Freddy, causing him to retreat, but she gives Alice a clue on how she can help by looking for her in a tower. Alice wakes up running into the diner where her coworker bitches her out for being 4 hours late. She never fell asleep though, so how could she have possibly dreamt all that? Who cares? The Springwood graduates are having a midnight pool party, complaining about their parents and life in general. But Dan gets an urgent call from Alice telling him that Freddy has returned. He races to be by her side, but he starts to doze off while driving. Freddy appears by his side and buckles up for a wild ride. But a crash through the windshield sends Dan back to the pool. He collects himself quickly enough to steal a motorcycle and continue on his way to Alice. Shocker, Freddy takes over the bike and attacks Dan, transforming him into an impressive looking machine-human monster hybrid thing.
Injection!
So Dan crashes into a truck and dies right outside the diner, sending Alice into hysterics and the hospital. She wakes up telling Yvonne, a nurse at the hospital, that Kruger was the one who killed Dan. We then get the big news when the doctor says ranting of supernatural killers is normal for a woman during pregnancy. They keep Alice there for the night, and she meets a young boy named Jacob.
Well, my name is...
I'm sorry your boyfriend got killed.
Why the fuck would he say that?
Alice tells Yvonne about Jacob the next morning, but there is no kid in the entire hospital that fits the description. Who could he possibly be? We once again have to get the whole origin of Freddy explained as Alice tries to convince Yvonne, Greta, and Mark that he exists and killed Dan. Of course, they don't believe her, but support her because she's their pregnant friend. That night, Greta falls asleep at a dinner party thrown by her mother while they discuss her future as a model.
Why don't I just eat the whole goddamn tray, go throw up, and come back for seconds, all right?
Bon appetit!
Freddy disgustingly overfeeds her to the point where her face bloats and she chokes to death in real life. With her dead, Alice and Yvonne go to comfort Mark, who was in love with Greta and entertains the idea that Freddy may be real and wants to know more. Later that night, after finding out Mark has fallen asleep straight into the music video for Take On Me, Alice chases after him into the Elm Street house. She rescues him from being sucked into a portal, but after he exits the dream, she notices Jacob is there too. He gets angry with her, saying she doesn't care about him and that she doesn't even want to be a mom. His friend with the funny hand told him so. He runs off and Alice wakes up finding Mark, who 100% believes her about Freddy now. The next day, Alice goes for an ultrasound, asking the doctor if unborn babies dream. As a matter of fact, they do. Did you know that 70% of their days are actually spent dreaming? Alice then gets sucked into the ultrasound machine, witnessing what Freddy is doing with her baby.
Feeding time. Soul food for my boy.
Way to recycle the soul food joke from the previous movie in a scene that is beyond weird. Alice freaks out, pleading with Yvonne to believe Freddy is using her child to be reborn. This alerts the doctor to call Dan's parents, who want to know what Alice plans to do with the baby. Oh yes, Nightmare on Elm Street wants to talk about that.
Yes, I do, and I won't say it for little baby ears over there, but it rhymes with shmushmorshin.
Don't worry, Alice plans to keep the baby even though Dan's parents want to take him from her because they think she's crazy. It's never brought up again, so let's move right along. Mark found out through research that Amanda Kruger's body was never found after she supposedly committed suicide, and Alice knows that they have to find her remains to release her soul. She tells Mark to stay awake while she goes looking for Amanda. At the school, Yvonne falls asleep in the jacuzzi, leading to an attack from Freddy that sends her flying into a boiler room filled with water. Alice shows up in time to rescue her from Freddy after stabbing him in the mouth. Mark isn't so lucky after falling asleep and gets sucked into a comic book. After Freddy taunts him with a dead Greta, he transforms himself into his comic character, the Phantom Prowler, to fight back. He gets some good shots in, but Freddy gets a transformation of his own.
It's Super Freddy!
Besides the eyesore that is Super Freddy, this is an imaginative death sequence. The color draining from Mark's comic version is neat, and Freddy just slashes him up to paper shreds. Certainly creative, despite not being relatively scary in the slightest. Now that Yvonne believes in Freddy, Alice instructs her to go to the asylum and locate Amanda's remains while she goes to sleep to hunt Freddy down. She's able to find him and throw him into the pit of maniacs who rip him apart. This is only a minor inconvenience since he turns himself into spiders. Alice then finds Jacob bonding with Freddy, but she convinces him to escape with her. They run around a freaking MC Escher painting until Freddy disappears. Jacob tells Alice that he's hiding inside her, leaving her to attempt a gross split from him. I don't know what the fuck is going on anymore. Yvonne is able to find Amanda's remains, releasing her soul from its prison. She then appears to Jacob, telling him that he has to help Alice beat Freddy using the power that he gave him. This gives us a freaky Freddy kid. The three souls rip themselves out of Kruger, dragging out his baby self, who then merges with Amanda Kruger, and the two are locked away. For now. 9 months later, everything is okie dokie as Alice enjoys a day in the park with Yvonne, her dad, and son Jacob. Of course, there's a hint that things may not be over, but the most horrifying thing happens as the credits start.
Want me to get him? Well, I got him. My mouth is an Uzi, and I shot him with hundreds of rhymes, rhythm designed to make him rewind. This time I draw the line.
This movie ends with a fucking rap song. Are you kidding me? That is unforgivable. My thoughts on The Dream Child. It's pretty bad. Honestly, it's very boring and convoluted, with Freddy going after an unborn baby that shows up in Alice's dreams as a kid while Amanda Kruger needs her soul released to defeat her son. I can't tell how far along Alice is in her pregnancy because it seems like something that just happened recently, but then that ultrasound scene makes it look like she's months along, far enough that the baby is already dreaming. And I thought it was established in Dream Warriors that Amanda was locked in a facility at Weston Hills. Now we've got this Transylvania Gothic looking church asylum that she gave birth and committed suicide in. There are really only 3 new additions to the cast here since Alice and Dan returned, and I don't care too much for them. Yvonne is just the I don't believe now but will later sidekick, and Greta doesn't get enough time to develop as a character since she's killed off so quickly. But I guess Mark is okay since he actually helps Alice research Freddy. I will say that I prefer Alice more here than I did in Dream Master. I think Lisa Wilcox has a better performance, making Alice much stronger and determined as opposed to uninteresting and constantly drifting off into space. This does have some nice set pieces again, along with well done effects, and it's actually one of the heaviest edited entries due to the violence, but I love Dan's death on the motorcycle. Turning into that creepy machine monster is amazing. However, it's so well done that the other 2 deaths pale in comparison. Greta just gets a little fat in the face and chokes, and while I complimented on the creativity, Mark's death is just goofy with the comic character battle. It's not terrible, it's just fine for a nightmare kill. And Freddy is just keeping up that comedy routine with every word that comes out of his mouth. Alice even tells him to just shut up in the scene where she stabs him in the mouth. I kind of applauded when she did it. He does not strike fear anymore. He almost makes your eyes roll when he pops up. The scariest thing in the movie isn't even him, it's the 100 maniacs. I like both those scenes when you see them because it's incredibly claustrophobic and all the muttering and insane ranting going on is unsettling. I want to bring this up quickly, but I give the movie credit for addressing Schmishmorshman. It's always a hot button issue, so to briefly present it within the narrative of the story is interesting. It's thrown out there as a way to potentially stop Freddy, then dismissed quickly by Alice. I believe the topic was handled properly. But holy shit, can we talk about those credits? I hadn't seen this movie in a while, so on my most recent watch, when I heard that rap song kick in, my mouth fell open in astonishment. Ending your scary movie that's taking on deeper themes with a rap song is probably the worst thing you could do. It tells me that New Line is not taking the franchise seriously anymore. So while it's got Dan's death, a better version of Alice, and more well-crafted effects and sets, the film is very dull and messy throughout, contains more annoying Freddy, and the weakest cast up to this point. I give a Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, 1.5 motorcycles out of 5. But let me know your thoughts. Do you actually enjoy the story for what it is? Has Freddy gotten on your nerves by now? And what was your favorite kill? Don't forget to subscribe and follow my Twitter in the links below. Next week, it's finally time to put an end to Krueger in Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Until next time, peace.